you wanted a tutorial on how I made my Lego insert, so I will show you how I made my Lego insert. So, the important thing is that decks can fit, when sleeved, into a 9 by 12 space. That's what all of these spaces are, 9 by 12. And the highest this can be is 6 blocks high. Alright, you can see I've got the base plate, then 2 more base plates to make it 1 block, and then 5 more blocks. Now with this, you can have this, and 4-player board on top of it. The way I put the decks in, right, you can see I've got Beowulf right here. Oops. Beowulf just slides in right there as long as you drop it in good. What I do to start is I put the first deck in with the bottom facing inward towards the middle wall. You can see it's easy to grab because I put this little gap here. Then I put the second one facing the opposite direction. We'll put in little red. Facing the opposite direction, because this will make it easier to grab the separate decks when pulling out the stack. You can see over here. And the third one, this is my John Kayak deck, so it's got these little cards, but then you put this one opposite of the second one, so facing the same direction as the third deck. Now, I'm going to fill up all of these spots. So once you've got all of your slots filled, what I do is I have these little base plate covers. What I do is I attach them like this and put them on top of the decks. What this does is it makes it so these decks are now, they're not being like tightened and squished, but now you can see they move around easily, but now they can't come out, right? This one might, but with a board on top, it definitely will not come out. Now, the next part is this little column thingy. This is for health dials. Now, the way I assembled this is I assemble it the way that normal unmatched inserts do, with the smaller ones on the bottom. And then just building upwards, right? So I've got like Bess on the bottom. Come on. Then I've got Sherlock and the Huntsman, as well as Wiglaf. Then to go for next size, we got Dracula, Little Red. It'll go in. Dracula, Little Red. Come on. Dracula, Little Red, Houdini, right? And then I've got some bigger ones on top with Invisible Man and Sherlock Holmes. And if you do this right, mine's a little bit tight, but it should be able to be flush. That's the goal, staying flush with this top level. Right? Because as long as it's flush, your one map will be nice and flush with everything else. Now in this middle area, I've just kind of got stuff chucked in there. Like you can see the fog, there's a dice, all this stuff for Jean Kayak. And then I built this little insert, which has the feet on the bottom to be elevated. It's got a bunch of sidekick tokens, the rage, the doors, Jekyll's thing, and then some health dials in here. This is just kind of the cluster of whatever else you may have. And that fits into this really nice. You just gotta make sure everything's adjusted. Fits nice and splendidly. Now for the final bit, I have these inserts. Right, these. These are for the miniatures. I've got one here as well. Now this is a bit more difficult, because stacking 2 sets of miniatures on top of each other and having it only be 6 blocks high is difficult. Now the miniatures, their bases fit into 4 block gaps, right? Like I'll put Beowulf in, because his spot goes there, and you just kind of build around to make it so he's nice and propped up. Little Red, for example, goes in here. Let me just see if I remember. She goes in. She kind of slots in with Beowulf. Yeah, like that. Then I have my Houdini, goes in like this. Then my Jean Kayak goes in face down, facing the opposite way. See, fits in nice there. And then I have Genie on the end. Like, I can position it properly. Put them in like, oh, come on, like that. And you can see now everything is in there nice and flush. Then I have small studs on the bottom. And what's important about this is, as you can see, there's a bunch of holes in the bottom. What this means is that it can very carefully slide. You need to do a lot of testing to make sure this works good. It can slide and clip on top of the other minis, and it's hollow underneath, so you can sit flush, and then you just got to be really careful with positioning your minis. So like, that's not where Sherlock goes. That's Invisible Man's spot, so he goes right here. Then I think it's Sherlock next. No. It's Jekyll. Then this spot is Sherlock's spot. So he is flipped. Sherlock, oops. He fell through the hole. Sherlock goes in like that. You can see he fits in nice and flush. Then Dracula, the final one, goes in like that. And obviously, depending upon the minis you have, the decks you have, you'll have to change the sizes of these and whatnot. But this is my strategy to fit 12 decks in one box. Have about half of it contain 4 decks, right? With one width wall along one side, and now along the other side, a 2 width wall in the middle. You could theoretically have a 1 width wall here and then a 1 width here. That would make it harder to get the finger down in there to lift up the decks. And then just have this little spot for health dials, as well as, then have this spot as well for health dials, psychic tokens, and various stuff. Okay, sorry, my health dials are being a little weird. They're very tight. And then the miniatures up at the top. And with this, you can drop the board on top. You can see it still sits nice and flush. And then take the box lid, put it on. As you can see, it's nice and flush. No sticky outy bits. There you go, there's your tutorial.